subjects that are worth to be photographed in my mind are the subjects which teach us something, from which we can learn, upon which we can act or react to. And there's an infinity of such stories. And very often it's the details, it's the small things that happen in life. But I think more challengingly, the realities of the world we live in are contradictory and conflicting. We all live lives where we contradict ourselves. I say I'm not a great fan of capitalism, yet I make my money in a capitalist society. You know, my life is full of its own contradictions. And these are things which are very difficult to represent in traditional photo stories, where you have an opportunity to show 8 pictures in a magazine, or very few pictures. So that has been one restriction. And I think now that we have opportunities to tell much more complex stories, which do actually include contradictions, because we have different media and different ways of presenting the information, we can get into much richer human stories, which are worth telling because I can learn from them. I mean, to me, a story for me, what is worth my time to look at is something where I learn, which I can react to and maybe contribute to in some way. And that to me is worth something. And it's going to be worth for different people at different times. And again, this notion that the old media was, you had your cover of Stern magazine, great magazine, but it was like one cover every week, and that was it. There was very little option for experimentation or for playing with different alternatives. Whereas now you can do a cover a minute. There's a great deal of opportunity for people to play and experiment. So we're no longer forced into risk-free journalistic environments. We can play, we can experiment, we can get it wrong, and we can deal with the contradictions and the conflicts we have in life. Because the truth is that, unlike the world of the 20th century, where we were told that there are good guys and bad guys, we know actually that the good guys do bad things. We know that the bad guys do wonderful things. Not one of us is either all good or all bad. We all represent dilemmas and conflicts in our own lives and in our behaviors, politically, economically, all these different ways. And now we can begin to deal in those. And that to me is something which is worth talking about, because we all struggle with these things. Who am I? How do I relate to the world? How can I help that person over there? How can that person over there help me? And these things, which I think are all important, it's about how we live as human beings. And that can be very small, about how do I manage my own relationships, my own world. And it can be much bigger, about how can I contribute to social change or for a social benefit. But we now have access to tell these stories and to learn about these things in a way that we did not previously.
What you tell is like seeing the drama series in Netflix. Yeah, there are fantastic drama series where good and bad is changing and it's so emotional and fantastic.
And that is life. I think, to be honest, I think that there's much to celebrate in the demise, in the death of the old media. Or let's say the transition of the old media. It's not dying, it's transitioning. And by the way, I think we need to be very clear here that when people talk about the struggles of photojournalism and the media, they're talking about one element of it, which is the business element. It's how do we monetize it? That is the only problem. The opportunities to sell stories, to distribute, and every other aspect of journalism has never been a better time than there is now. We have more sophisticated tools, like we have video, we have audio, we have still photography, we've got multimedia, VR, AR, we have all these tools to work with. Fantastic. We have distribution platforms that we could not have imagined even 10 years ago. It's cheap, it's easy to do, we have access to people and things which we couldn't have reached previously. This is the richest moment ever for visual communication. And on top of that, I would say that the piece which maybe we did not considered enough is that we are dealing now with an audience which is very literate visually. And I have waited for this moment all my life, that to live in a world where 2 billion pictures are uploaded every day is so wonderful, because what that tells me is that I'm now, when I put a picture out there, I'm talking to people who understand the photograph. Because these 2 billion pictures which go up onto the internet every day, whether it be Snapchat or Facebook or whatever, they're a lot more than people say they are. They're not just fluffy kittens. They're not just pictures of my meal. They're pictures that people are using to express themselves. They're expressing intentions. They're expressing feelings. They're expressing relationships. People understand the medium of photography in a way that they never did before. And that makes all of our lives richer.